Hi everyone, I'm Kerrie Evenson and welcome to Kerrie on Canvas. I don't know about you, but I could really use some downtime. Do you ever have those days where you're just completely overwhelmed with things you need to do? Sometimes I feel like my mind goes on overload with all the everyday responsibilities that I just need a break. Well, what a better way to give your brain a vacation than to paint? I'll tell you, it really does work. And every time I get out my paints and I let myself go, I leave my studio feeling refreshed, re-energized, and I have a bit more perspective on things. So tonight, I just want to paint one of my favorite subjects, which is any kind of figurative piece, really. Let's keep it simple and relaxed tonight, and here's what you're going to need. Medium-sized canvas, medium to large paintbrushes, assorted acrylic paints, paper towels or rags, and don't forget your water to keep your brushes clean, and of course, remember to stay relaxed and clear your mind. So of course here I have my already toned canvas, and I went ahead and sketched out the painting that I'm hoping to accomplish tonight. And so basically we're just going to go ahead and go right into it and get started. I went ahead, just so you know, I did tone this with a yellow, obviously. And by toning, I mean I took a wash brush and yellow paint and lots of water and watered it down and brushed it over. And then if there was like any blotches or drippy parts, I just blotted up, and that's that. So we will go ahead and get started with the background, which is going to be a gold tone. And you know what? Bigger brush. Add some water if you need to water it down a bit. This is just a thin coat of quinacridone gold. Some yellow-orange azo. Okay. Add some white, some yellow. Create some light. Not really sure I like that yellow I just put on there. I'm going to try to get some of it up. And try a different yellow. That yellow was a little bit too lemony for my taste, so for this particular piece anyway. Just come back in with a different yellow and some white. Okay, so we have something going on, a little bit of color starting. And now I will move to a smaller brush and start working on the dress. We're going to start with, let's say maybe a blue violet. So a little bit of blue, a little bit of violet here. Maybe a little bit of white. And we're just kind of applying it. Just like that. Now remember, we'll add more layers, so whenever we first start a piece, it's always kind of the base coat. don't have any texture on this piece today, just the canvas itself. Sometimes it's good to get back to the basics. Take your finger, blend the edges a bit. All right, so moving on to quinacridone magenta. Just filling in where I want her dress to be. Maybe add a little bit of white. And I love these colors together because gold and violet, or yellow and purple, are complementary colors. So it works really well together. And if you use yellow, blue violet, and red violet, then you have split complementary colors. Okay. Let's go ahead and let kind of this dry a little bit and just work on, I sort of sketched in a little bit of a tree here just to, I don't know, because I have birds in the painting and I thought it was appropriate, but you don't have to put a tree in there if you don't want. Okay. Scratch that in a bit. There we go. And of course I'll come back in and add more to it. And I almost forgot the ground area. So, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of burnt sienna. This is a nice spring piece, kind of warm colors, bright colors, the birds. Add some burnt sienna to her hair. I love this color for hair because it always seems to go really well with all the color palette, the palette that I use. However, you can choose a different hair color. You can do black, but I wouldn't recommend using just black straight from the tube. You definitely want to try to mix your own black, and by doing that, you mix your complementary colors together. And you keep doing it until you get the black color. And maybe as it dries, we'll add a little bit more black to the hair so I can kind of show you. Okay, let's see. I'm going to add a little bit of teal up here to the stars. I love putting stars in my paintings. I always try to incorporate some kind of symbol in my painting that represents something that I might be thinking or feeling. So when you look at my pieces, sometimes they'll be painted in there just as plain as day, and sometimes they'll be carved in there, you know, with the end of my brush or something. So always look, take a double look when you look at my paintings. And the star for me represents dreams and hope. Just the kind of things that I live by in my life. And let's see, we'll put maybe another one up here. Probably we'll have to come back to it and go over, because the paint is still wet, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to really achieve the colors you're wanting to, or the tone or the contrast. Okay. I think also that, when you find something you really love to paint, or a subject matter that's really important to you, it's really good to make sure that you nurture that. I really love painting figurative work for two reasons. One, I enjoy sketching and drawing the human anatomy. And second, I really love that you can express yourself so much more with figurative work. And it tells a story. It always has some kind of story to it. So remember that when you're painting, maybe think about something that you want to express or convey to your viewers, and see if you can achieve that with your painting. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit of blue and a little bit of black, and just kind of lightly put the birds in here. Just like that. Okay, now I come back with my bigger brush and start adding in a little bit more detail into the dress and the shirt. So, a little bit of violet and some blue. Add some white. And I'm adding white to this back area just to kind of give the message a little bit that this is where the light's hitting. All right, go back to the shirt. Add some magenta. You can use whatever color you'd like. And of course some white to go on the back. Always use your finger to blend if you're scared to kind of use the brush. Just use your finger. It's kind of a foolproof method. Okay, now add some more to the hair. It might be a little too dark. So if that happens, of course, just take your brush and you can kind of paint it out a bit. And we'll go ahead and work on the skin tone. I'm hoping that you guys can see the skin tone a little bit. The light is shining right on here, and it's a little hard for me to see if I'm getting it, but you can work on this a little bit more at your convenience at home. Okay, and let's see, maybe we'll create a little bit of shadow right here on her neck. All right. Now let's go ahead and work some more on the background. Take more yellow and more white. And don't worry, I know you probably see me covering up my stars, but I come back in. This is part of painting. You end up changing your mind so many times when you're creating a piece. Put some right here. And it's really good too if you can add some of the color of what you're using for your light into your piece as well. Okay, so back to the burnt sienna. My ground. Add some white. See, I'm noticing I'm starting to work a little bit faster, and the reason is that I start to feel too tight with my paintings. So if I work a little bit faster and not give myself time to think so much, then I end up not overworking my piece. I'm adding a little bit of the violet down here to the bottom. Kind of tie in all the colors together. And then I'm going to come back in with some quinacridone gold. You can use a different gold color if you'd like. Different tone of yellow if you'd like. And I'm simply just going to come in and fill in this area here. Take my finger, I'm going to blend a little. Okay, now I take my smaller brush, and this is the part I love, which is when I just start kind of adding in my own little flair to the dress. And so by doing that, I'm just going to take a little bit of different blues that I kind of have on my palette, and I'm going to just start making some strokes very loose. Try this blue here. Even add some down at the bottom. And let's see, maybe I'll take a little bit more of the white that I had, the violet, and just add a little bit more. So don't be afraid to add color and to make, you know, the dress or the subject matter yours. Put your own little signature on there. Let's see. I think I'll add a little bit of teal. And same up here. Go back to the hair. And so what I'm doing is just kind of creating the fine little details of my piece. And you can kind of see how I do that is just by working around the painting and then coming back little by little. So a lot of people want to, when they're painting, they just want to start on one thing at a time. So if you have your figurative work, then you just want to paint the figurative work or paint the figure and finish that completely and then move on to something else. But if you want your painting to look more loose and free and not so tight, then this is the way to do it, to move around your canvas. All right. So I think I've neglected the stars a little bit, so I'm going to go back and work on those. I'm hoping that the background will dry a little bit sooner so that I can add some flowers in. But I'll try to do it anyway, even if the background is still wet. I'll try to do it anyway so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Adding or rubbing in the star with my finger blends it a little bit more with the background, and then I don't have to worry about it standing out kind of like a sore thumb. We want it to be noticeable, but we want it to blend as well and kind of look like it's supposed to be there. I think I need one more. I'll put one up here in the background. There. All right. Her face looks a little bit smushed, but we'll just we'll leave it like that for now and see. Maybe she has a little headband on. Make a, kind of a little headband here. Now I'm going to attempt to add some flowers as I'm staring, trying to see where's the driest spot, but it doesn't look like there is one. So I'm just going to take black, just regular black, and make some stems. Very loose with the brush, holding it very loose also. Smaller brush here. And let's try maybe a little bit of red. These are just really loose flowers. And maybe some white. No, that's not going to work. Let's just try violet. And maybe some teal. Yeah, the paint's still a little too wet, so I can always come back to that another time. And let's go ahead and add a little bit of light to the birds. So I'm going to have to get a little close in for this so I can make sure I get right on the area I need to. There, on the head, the beak, and the back. Imagine where the sunlight would be hitting, because that's key to establishing where your light is. There we go. Okay. A little bit of white maybe for the star. And add some more to the flowers. Definitely gonna have to wait on the flowers. Okay, one more thing. Take a little bit of my black and come in and just lightly outline my dress and add some lines in. And you know what? I forgot to give her a hand. The bird's just kind of flying around her, hovering around her arm in midair. So let's add just a little bit more there. Okay, that's good enough. The paint's a little wet, so it's kind of hard to work with. But if you're at home and you're working on these pieces with me or on your own time, just make sure that if you want, you can take time to let your piece dry in between applying layers if you'd like. If you don't want your colors to really blend and muddy up. And if I do any more to this, I'm going to end up ruining it, so I think that's it for me. But I'll tell you what, it's amazing how much better I feel after I paint. And even when I'm here on the show, you see it only took us 30 minutes to get a bit creative. And that's just a small price to pay to help clear our minds. I hope for those of you that watch my show really walk away feeling a bit more inspired. And I always want to share my joy of painting with you and want others to experience what I have been blessed with. So I hope that if you haven't already, that you will pick up the paints and let yourself be creative. And try not to have any expectations other than to let go and be in the moment. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. So feel free to email me at soverykerrie@cox.net, or you can go to my website at kerrieevensonart.com. Please join me again on Monday and Saturday evenings at 7:30 right here on Jones TV, channel 22, or you can visit us at jonestv.org. Until then, I'm Kerrie Evenson, and you've been watching Kerrie on Canvas.